What's going on, indie dreamers? Fatal Flora back with another review. This time we'll be taking a look at another new release, this title, Noita, both developed and released by Nola Games. This one has been in early access for quite a while, but it's finally made its debut as a full release on Steam on October 15th, 2020. It is also available on the Humble Store, itch.io, and GOG for $19.99 across all available platforms. Right away, it reminded me of all the time I spent with Terraria years ago in terms of gameplay, the great variety of gear you find, and obviously the 2D style. Noita is a quote-unquote magical action roguelike set in a world where every pixel is physically simulated. Upon first hearing this, you might wonder exactly what they mean, but as soon as you jump into the world of Noita, you can see exactly what they mean. Your character, your spells, and the monsters are able to interact with just about every pixel as part of the landscape, with the exception of backgrounds. Dig straight through the ground and find the shortest route, make your own shortcuts to treasure off the path. Everything in the procedurally generated world of Noita is able to be interacted with in some way or another. Puddles can be electrocuted to take down groups of enemies, spray water onto lava to make islands to walk across, melt through walls of ice, and even set clouds of toxic gas aflame with fire magic. The magical possibilities are truly endless when it comes to this title. The controls don't have too much to them and they aren't too complicated, but they definitely take a little bit of adjustment. Though once you get the hang of the physics and the levitation movement mechanic, the world becomes a lot more easily traversable. You're equipped with wands and potions, both serving a great variety of purposes. Wands are definitely geared more towards serving as your main method of attacking, with various types of projectiles and perks to equip and even swap between wands at checkpoints. The various projectiles you equip normally shoot in a sequence based on how they're arranged, so you can set up some pretty specific combos if you get the right perks. You're really able to dive in and change things around here to create some pretty gnarly wands. Potions are used mostly as secondary items, but there are plenty that can also get you out of a tight situation if you need to deal some quick damage. Oil potions and fire potions to set enemies ablaze, teleportation potions to quickly transport yourself to safety, and gunpowder potions to just blow everything up. Both wands and potions can be found scattered throughout the caverns at random, as well as other random unique items, so keep an eye out for anything glittering in the darkness. Speaking of which, you'll find plenty of treasure and even puzzles with rewards for your ingenuity, so stay sharp and get creative with your magic. Don't get too greedy, as situations can change rapidly, and even your own magic can work to your disadvantage if your energy leads you down the wrong path. If you manage to stay on task and you don't get too distracted by treasure hunting. Once you work your way through the passages and different biomes of Noita, you'll eventually find a portal to the next area. When you first arrive in the next zone, you'll be greeted by a safe zone with full health and mana restoration, as well as several random purchases to make with the gold gathered from slain enemies. These range from brand new wands, upgrades for the slots on already held wands, and even upgrades for your character themselves, such as fire resistance and, I thought this one especially cool, spider-like appendages which help with combat and mobility. Be careful as you progress, as there are tons of surprises in Noita and you really never know what lurks through the next portal. The enemy variety was pretty interesting, with all of the monsters bearing Finnish names, giving it a little bit more of a magical folktale vibe and making it feel like there was a real mythology to the world. With a few different game types, there's tons of excitement in every run of Noita, and that's part of the reason why it never really got boring to me like some other repetitive dungeon crawlers can be. Start a completely fresh run to clear the dungeon using your own power. There's a daily challenge mode, which starts everybody with the same seed, which is only playable once per day, as well as a daily practice mode, which starts you with random gear at a random point, which can be a great way to get a better feel for the world if you're having trouble progressing. There are a lot of small details that I really loved about Noita. Every time I signed on, there are a ton of patch notes and updates, indicative of physics and world mechanics changing, and when you die, you get a ton of information about your run and the progress that you made. There's also dedicated settings for Twitch integration and interaction, which, as a streamer myself, I really love the creativity of audience interaction with the games themselves, as I think it really adds a new layer to the relationships between the streamer and the viewer. The pixel art was really simple, but with bright, bold colors and details, it really benefited the constant changes to the landscape, as things can get hectic very quickly when you get more powerful wands and more powerful enemies. While the interaction of the whole environment was unlike anything I've seen in a game like this, I do wish the pixel physics themselves were a little more interactive in a way, as you end up with a lot of floating single pixels here and there, which can be hard to see and hinder your movement at key moments if you get caught up on them. The progressive rock-inspired soundtrack ranged from intense to ambient based on the areas and situations. As a lover of game music as well, I always have to make a side note for soundtrack releases, and the Noita soundtrack is available on Steam individually for $9.99 or bundled with the game for $26.98, which is a 10% discount from the cost if you were to purchase both separately. Again, Noita the game itself is available on Steam, the Humble Store, itch.io, and GOG for $19.99. If you're as enchanted as I was by the idea of Noita and you decide to check it out, be sure to let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, thanks to our indie dreamers for stopping by. Appreciate it if you would subscribe while you're here. If you would like to further support us in our quest to bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming, there are plenty of ways to do so in the details below. As always, thanks for stopping in, thanks for being here. Couldn't do it without you.